Sister Celestine Dunne.
Good morning.
It's nice to have you here.
Yes, Jody, thank you.
Yes. Now, I have been in the habit since you moved to Adrian of calling you Sal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get confused with people calling you that, among other things?
The things I don't want to hear, but no, I don't get confused. I know that they call me by 3 different names.
Oh.
Sal, Sally, and Celestine. As far as I'm concerned, I really don't care. Because as long as they're comfortable, I wouldn't want somebody to go to somebody and say, no, don't call me that.
Is that your baptismal name? Celestine?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's my baptismal name, and it was my religious name, both. And the reason that I got it was because when Mother Gerald saw the name, she immediately said to Sister, what in the world is
Edmund?
No, Rita Marie.
Rita Marie.
Mm-hmm. She said to Rita Marie, well, she can't have her her secular name. So Rita Marie told her the story of my grand aunt, my grandma on my father's side, the Dunne, and she was my grand aunt who joined the community of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary. And I think the other day Jim mentioned that this St. Rose was the one that founded this order.
Oh, okay.
And so my aunt was an Irish woman who went over to England, and she worked at an orphanage where they brought in the children from the streets of London.
Oh, my.
And one day, the superior of the convent left my aunt, Sister Celestine, in charge. There was a fire, and they got all the children out, and my aunt went in to rescue the Blessed Sacrament. And in an attempt to rescue the Blessed Sacrament, she was overcome by the smoke and died.
Oh, my.
You know, I'm really proud to carry that name, Jody, because here is a woman who was willing to die for something.
Wow.
Now, people will say to me, well, she didn't have to do that. But you know what? She did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really believe that in those days, that was paramount in people's minds, that the Blessed Sacrament, of course, we still feel that it is sacred and wonderful, but I don't think we would expect anyone to give their life for that.
Plus, she was Irish.
Yes. Well, French, German, whatever, it's just so nice to, and interesting that I say that because I think we give our lives every day for our God, and we remember that, and you listen to so many of the sisters' stories, and every one of them dedicated their life to the knowledge and the love of their God.
Yes, amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you got away with the name Celestine because Mother Gerald heard that story.
Oh, yes. And being Irish and hearing that story, of course I got that name, and I'm proud to carry that name.
So how did Sally come out of that?
My father nicknamed all of us.
Oh.
And so when I entered, it was always Sally. And anybody that knew me when I was younger in the community called me Sally. And then later on, Sal. My family calls me that. And then some people call me Celestine, and that's fine. The only thing that I really insist upon is that they put an E at the end of my last name, D-U-N-N-E.
Yes.
And if that doesn't happen on my tombstone, I'm going to rise from the dead and chisel it on myself.
Because most people don't put just D-U-N-N.
You very seldom, interesting, you very seldom see an E on Dunne. But my family did not drop it.
You said your father gave all of you a nickname. What do you mean by all of you?
Well, my oldest brother was Duke, My oldest sister was Sis. Now, Bill kept his name.
Where does this litany go? How many are
We
you?
only have so much time. Eh? Well, anyway, that my father. And I have a feeling that he called me Sally because my aunt that, became the nun, Sister Celestine, her name was Sarah.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of a nickname, for Sarah. So he called me Sally.
So your mother and father bore how many children?
11.
Oh, my.
And I was raised with only 10.
What do you mean by that?
Well, my little brother died when he was just about 6 months old.
And were the brothers and sisters all of age that understood what you were doing when you entered the religious order?
That brings to mind my baby brother. We might say he was 2 because I entered in June.
He was 2?
Yes. There were 22 years between my oldest brother and my youngest brother.
Oh, my.
And he was only 2, and he was the love of my life. He was such a cutie.
Oh,
But anyway, he's still living and not married.
Is that Dennis?
That's Dennis. Dennis. Mm-hmm.
And he obviously lives in Detroit like every other brother and sister.
No, he lives in Florida. And then my brother Dick lived in New York, but the rest of us live in the environs. Mm-hmm.
Dare I ask you how many nieces and nephews you must have?
I would ordinarily be very proud of this, but I've met sisters who have 15 in their family and hundreds of nieces and nephews. I had 44 nieces and nephews.
Oh, my heavens.
And now the family, I can't even count them, but I love them dearly.
Yeah.
I just love them so much.
Well, they must love you, otherwise you wouldn't be saying that. I mean, it's mutual love.
Well, I've never taken account.
You don't check that off when they come visit you?
I've never taken account of that, but I do keep in touch with them, and they keep in touch with me, and they always seem to be happy when they come.
Sal, why were you so lucky to be missioned to San Diego, California?
I chose it, Jody. I didn't even know how to pronounce the name. It was like La Hala or whatever it was. La Jala, that's right, La Jala. But I thought, well, the thing was, I had been in the classroom for years, and I loved the children. I just loved them. I had lots of fun with them.
Were you ever principal?
Yes. Anyway, I decided, I came to a point in my life where those walls were just closing in on me, and I wanted to expand.
The classroom walls?
Yes, the classroom walls. And so I looked to find some place, actually, where I wouldn't have to teach. But when I went to this place, to La Jolla, I went there with the intention of looking around for some other place. But I did teach there for 2 years. Then I went to St. John of the Cross, Lemon Grove.
Oh, that's north, correct?
It's more east.
East.
East, yes. And that's where I did parish work. I did adult education and liturgy.
Where did you begin your teaching career?
St. Lawrence's in Chicago. And I was there for 11 years. I thought I would never leave. So when I finally did, the dear superior, and I she was Rose Williams. She was a great lady.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, you make me feel bad." I said, "It's not you." I said, I've been in this place for 11 years, and I'd like to go.
Did you happen to live with Sister Helen Doyle? Wasn't that her last name?
She is so much fun. I can't even say she was, because periodically I call her. She's been suffering terribly for years. And I get on the phone with her, and she is just still funny and full of life. And
what was her name before John Helen?
Her name is Jean Doyle.
Jean Doyle, yes.
And she married a Jean Green. And I could go into all of that, but just know that she really is suffering.
Are there any other sisters, former sisters, that you keep in touch with?
Oh, yes.
That you lived with?
That I lived with? Well,
Or that was in your
Ann
crowd?
Cowley, who was Leo Germain,
Oh.
and she's up north.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pat Creighton, I palled around with for years, and she's in Detroit.
Was she a visitation?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I've known Pat for years.
Because wasn't your home right near
My
in Detroit?
home was like, well, you'd say a road or an alley away from the church and school. And when the lunch bell would ring on the playground, we'd hear it and we'd go to school. That's how close we were.
Oh my heaven. This
And-
is visitation in Detroit.
A visitation in Detroit. And where they built that recreation center is where our homes were. My grandmother owned 2 of them, and we owned 1 of them. And they removed all of those homes
Oh my heavens.
and built that recreation center.
But owning your own home at that time, what was your father's profession?
My father really, we were most fortunate. And I don't want to say we were blessed, because everybody is blessed in some way. But we were certainly very, very fortunate. He was in the employment office at Ford Motor Company.
Oh my.
And so we didn't live lavishly, believe me.
Well, not with 11 children.
Believe me, we did not.
Did you have a place at the table?
That's what my one brother says. He said, well, there were 11 of us, but one couldn't reach the table.
Oh my.
Terrible.
So all of your brothers and sisters went to visitation?
No, my brothers went to Catholic Central for high school. My one brother went to visitation, but the others went to Catholic Central.
Who was the principal at the time when you were going to school there?
Hildegard,
Oh my.
nice lady,
Yeah,
very nice lady. Isn't she Marie George's sister?
I
Hildegard?
believe so. Yeah.
Yes, and,
Yeah. Brennan.
and Brennan belongs to Lorraine. Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I want her to know that her aunt was a
Yeah,
lovely lady.
yes. And did you have a favorite teacher?
I think she never was my homeroom teacher. I just liked her. Her was Devota, Sister Mary Devota.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Did she help you when you
No, Sister Helen Ann did.
Oh my.
I took sewing home ec. Good thing I took sewing, because little did I know I'd be sewing my habit. But anyway, we were in I was in class, and she came up to me and said, I had already told her I wanted to enter, and she said, well, did you get permission? And I said, no.
You
And
mean
she
from your family?
to enter the community. She said, did you get permission? I said, no, I didn't get permission. She said, well, you have to have permission. I said, no, I don't have to have permission. If I want to go, I can go. She says, well, you have to have permission. So we were right a stone's throw from the school. So she said, no, go home and get permission. So I ran in, and my mother was in the kitchen, and my father was in the other room. And I went in, my mother was there, and I said, Mother, I have to have permission to join the convent. So where's Dad? So I went and saw my father, and I said, Dad, I have to get permission to join the convent. May I go? I didn't say may I go. And so he's kind of waits a little. I said, hurry up, I got to get back. So anyway, he said, well, darling, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do without you, but I don't know what to do with you, so you have my permission.
Oh, well, that was a royal blessing.
So I ran through the kitchen, and I said, Dad said I could go, and my mother said, you didn't ask me? I says, oh, Mother. A woman who every day made a holy hour and went to Mass every day, and of course the family rosary. That was something else. Anyway, we don't have to go into all of that.
Weren't you blessed to have your mother till what age was it when she passed?
97. and was as sharp as a tack and took a half a aspirin, the only medication she took all her life. And you never heard my mother complain about her aches and pains ever. She never complained about things.
Well, there must have been some postpartum depression
Yes,
along
she
the
did.
way.
She went, yes, after the second baby, she did. She suffered postpartum depression.
And what did the children do at that time?
My grandma and aunt took care of us. My dad's mother and, and also I remember my mother's mother taking care of us.
Well, that was a gift. That was a gift.
Wait a second.
That's okay.
No, I'm trying to think. She had that after the second child, so I wasn't even born.
Oh. Well, you've heard the story. And you were there. Pre-birth.
I guess my grandmas came at different times when my mother went, to have children.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Going back to Sister Helen Ann, was Sister Helen Ann here at Maria when you came back to campus?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I bet that was a thrill.
Well, she's a precious lady. She's really a precious lady.
And was at some point when you returned, you were asked to work with or
The sisters.
the sisters.
That
What
was-
was the name of the chapter at that time?
Mother House.
Mother House chapter. Yes. And you
Now that was a real, I think one of the most favored or honored positions anybody could have,
as chapter prioress.
as to be with those our sisters here. I believe this is holy land, holy place.
You must have a deeper perception of death at this point, having had that gift of being with a dying sister.
I don't know, has that changed my perception of death? I know that, I don't know. I think I would think more about death. I don't think about it much when I'm close to that time. Right now, it's just not
Distant. Very distant.
Well, that's how it's not a reality to me now. I just, just as when I entered the convent, I didn't get any sudden jolt or any inspiration, or I just decided that one day that's where I'm going.
And never regretted a minute.
No.
No. I know. Have you seen a change in your focus on your faith or spirituality?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before, I had concepts of God and faith, and when I first entered, I read John of the Cross and Teresa Avila, and I got so confused on those castles and steps and whatever it was. One day it was this and one day it was that, and then of course I worked hard so God would love me. Now I say, I know God loves me, and I know God is with me.
Amen.
Yes, and I'm, God, I don't see my God, I can't say God, who knows?
Yeah.
But my God is a God who has made me to enjoy His many, many gifts,
And right now you are gifting women who are coming to Regina for the first time.
Well, I don't know how I'm gifting them, but I do know that I'm very happy to welcome them and show them around and tell them what to do. No, I don't.
Or what street to take, or what corridor to walk
There's
down.
so much to know.
Just a few weeks ago, we had a sister come from Florida. And I think that's so challenging for sisters who haven't been around campus.
Jody,
Tell me about her adjustment.
Well, she's lovely.
And the name?
Sister Shirley
Botcher.
Sister Shirley Botcher. I get that last name. She's Sister Shirley is delightful, and she's was in Florida for what, 50 years, 30 years, something. I mean, an enormous amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a type of person who likes change. But these people who have, they're part of that whole establishment. And I will never know how wrenching that is. I can only be there to, assist, because I will never know that.
Wrenching as far as leaving a place where you've been rooted for so long.
Think about that, digging up roots.
I think about that, of especially our women who come from the Southwest and West, and of course, Florida. And recently, like a day or so ago, you began welcoming another sister from Detroit,
yes.
Sister
Mary Ward.
Mary Ward.
Well, Mary just came in yesterday, and of
was
course,
it? Yes.
I knew Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I had lived with her for a year, and another deal. You think about our sisters, you talk about our sisters, and all I can say each time is, we have some beautiful souls that we walk among every single day.
And you're one of them.
Beautiful souls.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before at some point? This unfortunately has to come to an end. Anything else you'd like to say? Because I know
you know what? Well, yes, I don't. That isn't important in my life. What is important in my life is the fact that one thing I regret is that I wish that when I was young, I would have looked at my jobs as ministries. I think that they would have been so much more fruitful to me. I looked at my jobs when I was young as jobs.
You mean as a nun, young nun?
Yes, as a nun. I did this job. Like people say, what did you do? Well, see, what did you do? It's how did you minister?
Yes.
Or where did you minister?
And it also says service, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. But minister to me is more of a healing and a being with, and I think if I would have had that attitude, I think my teaching, although I love teaching, loved those kids, I love to play with them, I would have probably approached it and gotten much more satisfaction. See, my satisfaction was achieving and accomplishing, and that's, and then that drives you crazy.
I got through that chapter now.
Yeah.
The next one, yes. Well, thank you, and I want to thank you for your beautiful presence among us here in the Dominican Lives Center.
Well, thank you, Jody.
Yes.
And the same to you.